is time to talk some NBA free agency winners and losers. And yes, I've got a little bit of a new background here. I'm trying some new things, so work with me here. Let me know if you guys like it. But anyway, I'm here to talk about my winners and losers for NBA free agency. And yes, I understand it is still going on, but a lot of the big names, majority of them have signed. A lot of moves have been made. So why not talk about it right now? What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports All back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA, and here to talk about free agency. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below, guys. Follow me on all my social media platforms. I promise you, that is the best place to reach out to me. I will answer your questions. Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And please, guys, make sure you hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. Let's get into it. All right, so here we go. Winners and losers. So winners, what do I mean by that? Teams that I think really got better, mainly through free agency, right? And they really improved their teams by making the moves in free agency. And then losers, of course, teams that I thought got worse or didn't get better at all and were stagnant when they really maybe shouldn't have been. All right, so we'll start with the winners and then move to the losers here. For the winners, I got to start with my own Chicago Bulls. I mean, come on now, folks. This is not even me being biased. By the way, I'm never biased. You guys should know that. But the Bulls really got better, folks. Let's take a look at what they did. They added Lonzo Ball, who's a picture-perfect fit for this team. He's an unselfish playmaker who will get all of the scores in their right spots. He's a guy who can defend. He's a guy who can hit the three ball now. And Lonzo's still young, and he's still only getting better. So you love that. Right next to Zach LaVine in the backcourt, yeah, that's going to be a good fit, okay? Then what did they do? They went and did a sign-and trade for DeMar DeRozan, who gives them another 20-point score next to Zach LaVine. And now, you take a look at that. You got three 20-point score, three All-Stars, and one potential All-Star, right? In DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, and Lonzo Ball. So love that. But they didn't stop there. They added to the bench as well Alex Caruso, crafty guard who can do a little bit of everything. Very underrated defender. You like that. And then they also signed Tony Bradley, who's a good backup big to Nikola Vucevic. So the Bulls really nailed it. And I think they absolutely are a playoff team for sure. They're entering that fringe contender status in the East. They're not better than the Bucks or Nets, but they're in the next tier with teams like the Miami Heat, like the Boston Celtics, like the New York Knicks, like the Philadelphia 76ers, and I think they're better than a lot of those teams, okay? So let's talk about the second winner here, which is one of those teams that I mentioned, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat also got a lot better. They, first of all, went ahead and got free agent point guard Kyle Lowry, who, again, he's old, I get it, but he can still play, he's still effective, and he gives them a tough, hard-nosed veteran at that point guard spot. So you love to see that. And then they went out and got some depth, and PJ Tucker was an underrated pickup. Obviously, he was huge for Milwaukee in the playoffs. And then they also got Markieff Morris, who's going to, again, give them some solid depth here. So Miami now, with their own version of the mini Big Three, Lowry, Butler, and Bam Adebayo, again, not quite to the level of a Brooklyn, but you get my point here. And they also re-signed Duncan Robinson, so they didn't lose their shooter. I mean, he got paid a lot of money, 5 years, $90 million, but it is what it is. So Miami got a lot better. Again, they're in that tier with Chicago, right? I believe that tier with the Sixers, with teams like the Miami Heat, the Bulls, the Knicks, the Celtics, teams like that in that tier, the Hawks. I'm forgetting a couple of teams here, but they're in that next tier, basically after the Bucks and the Nets, okay? And then finally, after the Bulls and the Lakers, my next team that I think is a winner are the Los Angeles Lakers, all right? Let's talk about the Lakers here. Everybody's making jokes about how they have a retirement home now and how this Lakers team didn't get any better. Folks, listen, I get it. These guys are old, but you cannot tell me that this is not an upgrade over what they previously had, all right? We're not even talking about Russell Westbrook because that was a trade. That's not free agency. Let's talk about their moves in free agency. They got Dwight Howard, who has revamped his career in terms of being a serviceable backup big, all right? And they missed his size. He helped them win that 2020 chip. So they got Dwight Howard. Let's see who else they signed. Malik Monk, who's a young, nice shooting, scoring guard, will give them some good scoring off the bench. Carmelo Anthony, who's been decent with the Portland Trailblazers, again, similar to Dwight, revitalized his career when we thought he was all going to retire. Kendrick Nunn, which was an incredible pickup from the Miami Heat. I mean, he's a perfect backup for Russell Westbrook, and he took a pay cut to join the Lakers. Kent Bazemore, who can still give you solid minutes. Trevor Ariza, who is playing playoff minutes for the Miami Heat. And then Wayne Ellington, who's a dead-eye shooter. So all of these guys can contribute. None of these guys are quote-unquote trash or so washed up that they can't. Yes, they're all old. I get it. But this Lakers team, they have a lot of depth now. And this depth is going to help them come playoff time because, again, when you have guys that are old, they tend to get injured. So the best way to prevent that is to have backups that are capable of being able to contribute. So I like what the Lakers did. So my 3 winners, in no particular order, I like the Bulls, I like the Heat, and I like the Lakers. Now let's switch it over to the losers and talk about some of the losers, folks. My number 1 team, or I should say the first team. This is in order as well. The first team, I got to go with the Blazers. All right. The Blazers just sat back and didn't do anything. It's not like they made bad signings, but they just sat back and didn't do anything. And that's a problem because Damian Lillard, your best player, wants out. And you need to show him that you're all in. And instead, what do? You twiddle your thumbs and you re-sign Norman Powell to a $90 million deal. I like Norman Powell. He's a nice player. But him getting signed to a $90 million deal doesn't really scream improvement to Damian Lillard. Okay? So to me, I thought the Blazers had a chance to be very aggressive, make some moves, but they just stood back and feels like they're just waiting for Dame to give his official trade request so they can acquiesce to it. All right, so I thought the Blazers were a loser. Let's talk about another team that didn't really do much, the Boston Celtics, folks. This is a team in the East. Saw a lot of other teams got better. I just talked about the Bulls. I talked about the Heat. And what did they do? They stood back and really didn't do much, if anything, all right? All the Celtics did was pretty much just sign Enes Kanter. They lost Kemba Walker, or I should say they traded Kemba Walker, I'm pretty sure, to the OKC Thunder. But yeah, it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and what? Like, this Boston team went from being a contender in the East for years to now it's like, oh, they're at the bottom of the East playoff picture. That's kind of what I look at it for Boston, you know? And then another team, the Golden State Warriors. Folks, you have Steph Curry still in the back end of his prime. Klay Thompson coming back. Draymond Green still there. And what do? You sign Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica. Folks, am I missing something here? You have a chance to go all in on a title team. Like what the Lakers are doing, you go out and you sign Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica. Now, I get it. They didn't have a lot of cap space, but you can do better than that. And I know this is free agency, but as far as the draft, they shouldn't have drafted those players either. Flipped them for, a Bradley Beal or somebody like that. So to me, the Warriors, they're not utilizing Steph Curry's last years of his prime. And to me, that's why they're a loser. So just to recap here, my winners, the Bulls, the Lakers, the Heat. My losers, the Warriors, the Blazers, and the Celtics. And I'll give one other team that I was somewhere in the middle. I don't consider them a big winner or a big loser, but I got to talk about their moves, and that's the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks signed Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, they re-signed him, they re-signed Alec Burks, they re-signed Nerlens Noel, and then they went out and got Kemba Walker. I really, really like the Kemba pickup. I think he's going to help a lot. I like them re-signing D Rose. Wasn't a big fan of the money that they gave Evan Fournier, but that's why I'm somewhere in the middle on the Knicks. They didn't get worse. I don't think they got significant. I think they got slightly better. Not significantly better. They got slightly better, and this is still a playoff team. So I had to talk about that. Again, love the Kemba pickup. Evan Fournier, not a big fan of. Love to see D Rose get paid. He deserved it, a 3 or $43 million deal. But that's kind of where I'm at with the Knicks, right in the middle. So there you have it, folks. My winners and losers for NBA free agency. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.